get it. Oh, hi.
Who is it?
It's carol singers.
Well, give him a quid and tell him to bugger off.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of KFR News Radio. This is your host, Glen Button, along with your host, Miguel Merry Magusto.
Merry Glenjamin.
Oh,
Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, joyous Kwanzaa, happy holidays to you and yours, Glenn.
oh man, I love the fact that you said that. Because it is Merry, it is Kwanzaa, and it is all those other things.
Yeah.
It's just so good. We
Yes.
did it. We made it to the end of the year, the end
We
of the
made
holiday
it.
season.
And you know what? For having a
little.
newborn, I'm not tired at all.
Yeah, for
Granted,
Christmas
we're
being
recording
here,
this before-
basically.
Yeah.
I feel great.
And we're recording this before he's born, so who
Yeah.
knows how I'm feeling right now.
It's
But,
all making sense.
Yeah. How you doing, Glenn?
I am not too shabby. Besides all the work stuff that I complained about the last two, I don't need to go there again. I'm just feeling good. I got my nice little, my little cozy sweater on. I'm feeling
Ooh, me too.
goddamn comfy. What do you got on?
I got myself a Philadelphia Flyers Christmas sweater on.
You do. I can see that.
Yeah.
That's
I see
insane.
your cozy sweater as well.
Oh, God, do I feel good in it, too.
Yeah.
Wow, luxurious. I'm going to have to break your balls here.
Uh-oh.
I didn't watch shit,
Figured.
but the two things we basically had to do.
That's the Glenjamin special right there.
Oh my God! And it is so fantastic to do.
Yeah.
So I'll get right into that little bad boy. So we're gonna kill the 2-minute thing, so that we're trying to get used to here.
Yeah.
So we watched the Marvels on Thursday. So we did end up watching something out there on the podcast. People who said Mike didn't know what we were watching. So that's what it was. We watched the Marvels, and there it is.
Yeah. I wish we watched the holdovers. Or,
I kind
would've-
of wish
I
we
would've
did
liked-
too.
I mean, the Marvels wasn't bad. You can see what we thought of it on our YouTube channel. But I really want to rewatch the holdovers, and I don't know when I'm going to have time to. And I want
Yeah.
you to watch it as well, so you can see Paul Giamatti in all of his glory.
I got to see that crooked eye, man. I got to see it.
Yeah.
But after that, of course, we had watched what we're about to get into, and just around the 2-minute mark.
Yes.
Well, not the mark specifically, but Mike, your time has started.
My time has started. Other than the two we watched together, The Marvels and Love Actually, I watched only two others, so it should be relatively quick for me. The first one was King Kong versus Godzilla, not the recent one, the one from 1962,
Yep.
which was the third Godzilla movie ever made. I believe only the second King Kong movie ever made. I could be wrong about that. This was the first collaboration between the U.S. and Japan studios when it came to Godzilla and, the monsters. And it's just the American influence in it is so apparent. The whole series was started for like a way for Japanese filmmakers to talk about the nuclear bombs and everything.
all
then
that tragedy that happened to them.
All that
obviously.
tragedy that happened. And then what do the Americans do when they first come into this? Say, we should nuke them. I mean, that's not inaccurate to what would happen.
No, not in the slightest. They're like,
But-
we have a few lying around, right? Let's just get rid of them.
Yeah, but it's so apparent that like the American filmmakers who watched the first two Godzillas had no idea that it was about like nuclear warfare and everything, and like more or less anti it. It is, a bit abstract when it comes to that. Not so much the first one. The second one it is a little bit, but the first one is very much so. But yeah, still goofy. I miss that we don't. I miss movies with fights between two men in rubber suits. I wish we brought them back. Get rid of CGI
Why do
from
we
time
not
to
have
time.
more? Damn it!
Yeah, from time to time, just do that instead of CGI. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's King Kong versus Godzilla. Then I watched David Fincher's latest film, which is on Netflix, called The Killer, with Michael Fassbender. I really liked it. I was like into it the entire time. It's a very interesting film. The Smiths pretty much have their entire work on there. Like he listens to the Smiths a lot. The character does,
Okay.
and it just seems like every other scene is a different Smiths song.
Interesting.
And so the Smiths got paid.
They got that
it-
money.
Yeah, it's a strong movie. I would say the ending kind of ruins it for me, but I don't want to get into it too much. But not like terribly ruins. It's just slightly unsatisfying for the ending.
You said that's on Netflix now?
Yeah, that's on Netflix. I do recommend people check that out, especially if you're a fan of David Fincher and Michael Fassbender.
I do love them both.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much all I watched. So let's get into Love Actually.
This holiday season, join this unforgettable filmmaking team
Welcome, Prime Minister. This is Natalie.
Hello, David. I mean, sir.
20 years ago, you'd have been just his type.
as they explore that time of year when desires are revealed,
I'm in love.
Aren't you a bit young to be in love?
No.
Oh, okay.
secrets are exposed,
Your secretary is very pretty.
That's true.
Be careful there.
and chances are finally taken.
All I want for Christmas is you.
Hugh Grant, Liam Neeson, Colin Firth, Laura Linney, Emma Thompson, Alan Rickman, Rowan Atkinson, Keira Knightley.
Christmas is the time to be with the people you love.
Yeah, I need a car.
This holiday season,
Does Natalie live here?
all you need
Hello.
is love, actually.
Are you singing carols?
I suppose I could.
Please, sir, please.
Good King Wenceslas looked out.
Love
on
Actually
the
follows the lives of 8 very different couples in dealing with their love lives in various loosely interrelated?
Interrelated.
Interrelated?
Loosely interrelated.
Where did the end come from? Tales all set during a frantic month before Christmas in London, England.
Yes, written and directed by Richard Curtis, starring Hugh Grant, Martine McCutcheon, Liam Neeson, Laura Linney, Bill Nighy, Gregor Fisher, Colin Firth, Shauna Guillory, Emma Thompson, Chris Marshall, Heike Makashk, Makach, Martin Freeman, Joanna Page, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Andrew Lincoln, Keira Knightley, and many others. This is one of the movies that people always asked why I haven't seen it. And pretty much my answer was, I'm not that into romance films.
Yeah, that's pretty much your bread and butter of a synopsis
and I
for yourself.
stand by it.
He stands by
I
it.
stand by it.
Are you doing the finger? I stand by it.
I'm not doing that.
Oh.
But yeah, that's pretty much the main reason I hadn't watched it before. I had always intended to watch it eventually. Pretty much when someone made me, either my wife or this podcast, and this podcast came first.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, wife. Back it up.
I forget exactly what it is, but my first note here is, oof, 9/11 reference right away. And I can't
Yeah, I don't
remember
even
what it is.
remember
I think it's the narrator saying something about before the Twin Towers were hit. Probably mentioning how people waited at the gates for their loved ones and everything.
Yeah.
And how that doesn't happen anymore because of 9/11.
Yeah.
But
I didn't even hear that, but like towards the end of the movie when something's happening at the airport, they're like, you can't come out here without a boarding pass. I'm like, well, we know why that's happening.
Yeah.
Good job.
But they mention it without saying 9/11. They mention it. They say the planes hit the Twin Towers. And I was like, that is a bold choice to start a romantic Christmas
really kick
movie.
it off, yeah.
2 years after 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
So there's that, Yeah.
It's really it really brings you in. Knowing the knowledge of that happening really brings you in for the love.
But I believe this was
cherishedness.
your first time watching it as well, right?
It pretty much was. I had seen clips of it before, with Andrew
me too.
Lincoln just going in the courtyard and going like this. And I know you know exactly what I'm doing, but you can obviously see it. Him just flipping. And why didn't I say what I wanted to say? Tantrum. I saw clips of that and just some random little things, but I've never watched the whole movie. Actually, I don't even think I've watched 15 minutes of the movie, like sitting down. So this was a watch that I wanted to get around to because I know it's one of those ones that people talk about and people love. They usually watch every time they sit down with loved ones and say, let's not talk to each other during the holidays because we're all going to fight. Let's watch this.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was that thing. This was also one of the 3 movies that didn't pick for your movies for the old roulette.
You haven't seen it yet, but I referenced that in the spoiler
nice.
intro. Instead of saying I'll be dating one of these girls, I say we'll be watching one of these movies, and then put all the ones that I wanted to watch over this.
Oh yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, right away, I guess we can get into the pretty damn stacked cast that is the British fever that we have here.
Mm-hmm.
Keira, I mean, is Laura Linney like the only American in this? I feel like there's maybe a couple, but
not the only one.
Obviously, besides the Americans that are in this, when they go to America.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I think she's definitely.
Oh, Billy Bob Thornton. That's right.
Billy Bob Thornton. Yeah, he plays the president.
Yep.
The creepy president. Yeah, they're probably pretty much the only 2 big named Americans in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a stacked cast. But you can get that when you do an anthology like this, where it's like not one plot; it's a whole bunch of different plots.
Especially a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I never really cared for this format of movies. It can be done well sometimes.
Sometimes. Usually the theme that works is when it's not a romantic theme to it. Like what the fuck's the movie? Crash or
Vantage Point.
When it's a different genre of movie, it works most times.
And as far as Crash goes, other than the white savior complex thing and everything, I think the reason a lot of people hate on Crash is because it won Best Picture. I feel like if it didn't win Best Picture, people probably wouldn't hate on it as much because it's not a bad movie.
Yeah.
Yes, it has the white savior complex in it, but like, it's a fine movie. It just shouldn't have won Best Picture, which is why everyone kind of shits on it. But yeah, things when it's kind of like a romance, it just kind of feels like a bunch of short films. Like none of this felt connected with the exception of 1 or 2 stories until the very end when you find out they're all friends.
Well, yeah, it's like one thing I hate about these types of movies is like everyone's in love or everybody's cheating on each other or everybody's, like romantically interested. And then everybody just kind of happens to be friends. That's how they're all connected and that's how they make the story work. I hate that because, of course, during the movie like this one, none of them ever really interact with each other. Maybe some phone calls here and there, but that's it.
Yeah.
Like, they don't actually go to hang out with each other or anything like that until, of course, like the end of the movie when they all meet up. They're like, oh, my God, he knows that guy. Oh, my God, they know that guy. That's how it's...
She's related to the Prime Minister.
Oh, my goodness. That's crazy.
Oh, wow.
And she is best friends with the Liam Neeson guy.
Yeah. The most interesting story in this to me was the Laura Linney story. Where she's trying to find love, but she's kind of her brother's dependent on her, and she has yet to learn to like have him like put up boundaries with him and everything, which is understandable being the only two people far away, living in a completely different country. But like I found that very interesting. But then the rest of the movie, I text you like 10, 15 minutes into it, and I was just like, my face is going to be stuck with how much I'm cringing in this.
Yeah.
It is just the cheesiest goddamn thing, with the exception of a few stories.
I would say that one was the most interesting as far as like concept goes.
It's the one that grabbed my attention the most.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the most real ones. Everything else was obviously like a rom-com-y type movie, which, I mean, that's what it is, so I can't really blame it for it. But I feel like the one that I liked the most personally was the Liam Neeson one, where obviously it was more about the kid. Obviously, he was grieving over his wife, but they didn't linger on that. They lingered more on the relationship with him and the kid trying to, get... There was some... talk between the two. Maybe they're comfortable between parent and son that they can have the conversation. But I was like, that's weird to talk to your kid in that sort of manner. Yeah. Where he's, oh, Dad, I'm sorry. I should have talked to you about your love life. Have you found anybody? And then he's like,
well, it was a stepdad. I don't know if that helps at all.
Yes, but I mean, not really.
Yeah.
But he's
if
like,
anything, it makes it maybe a little bit weirder. But
he's like, have you found anybody? He's like, well, I haven't found anybody and I don't plan to. Unless that chick from my childhood comes along, and then we're going to bang in every room in this house, including yours. And I was like, all right. That was, but besides that, I mean, the concept of it, like the kid trying to find like his crush, not find, but like win over his crush and confess his little love. I thought that was the coolest part. The rest of it was just, you're not really rooting for anybody else.
Yeah. Well, except for the stand-ins who are put in compromising positions.
Oh, right. The first scene with Martin Freeman, I was like, he's so me right now. He's so me. And then they started getting into it. I'm like, well,
I'll tell you what, they're both professionals, though.
I don't retract my statement.
Yeah. They are both professionals.
He was so consensual in everything.
Yeah. But like the fact that they weren't even like acknowledging that it was happening.
Yeah.
Like obviously I'm not a stand-in. I do know that they have to do similar things to that. I don't know if it ever goes that far.
Yeah.
With like the thrusting and the movements and everything. But like the fact that they were able to just like act like that wasn't even happening.
Well, he was a stand-in for Brad Pitt. He has to be professional.
Oh yeah. And but like I was just laughing anytime that they came back to that.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that they, were able to hit it off the way they did.
Of course.
But like it's just so many different weird stories.
Yeah.
That are different, varying levels of cringy to me. It doesn't help that Keira Knightley was 18 when she filmed this. And,
Jesus.
And Chiwetel Ejiofor is I don't know how old he is. It's
he had to have been mid-30s in
77,
this,
so he is 8 years older than her. Which, as an adult's not that big, but when she's 18 and he's 26, that's a pretty big difference.
Yeah. For sure.
And it's just I just kept thinking about it, especially because the first thing is her character getting married.
Yeah.
It's just like,
oh, he waited pretty long for that carriage cradle. Sorry.
Yeah, like no one's questioning this. No one's questioning why the 26-year-old man is marrying an 18-year-old woman.
I would say, that storyline I did not care for. I mean, it was nice seeing Andrew Lincoln in something else besides Walking Dead.
Yeah.
He was a little goofy in this, but that's not to his fault. That was more the character and just that whole situation was kind of fucked. I'm madly in love with the woman you just married. And I mean, no, he was a solid bro for lasting as long as he did. And
I mean, technically, he just confessed his love. He didn't even say like, "Hey, let's leave him in the dust." It's like, "Hey, I got to get this off my chest."
Yeah,
there you go. Still weird.
Yeah, I would
still crossing a boundary.
Probably would have went that to my grave, or let that go to my grave. But I get it.
As far as confessing your love from someone who's already taken, that's the classiest you could go?
One
Question
of the
mark.
classier ways. That's true.
Yeah.
I didn't care for that storyline. It also, a lot of these, they didn't linger long enough, in my opinion. They kind of jumped between storylines. They didn't linger long enough between the characters for you to genuinely care a lot.
Yeah.
Like it would, like, my wife just died. Oh, hold on. I swear to God, I'm not brushing off the fact that my best friend just died, and then hangs up and then goes to her storyline. Obviously, in the beginning, you had to jump to get to everybody, but it didn't linger long enough for you to really be like, oh, that was a punch. Okay, I'm ready to move on. That was punch. I'm ready to move on. Oh my God.
Yeah. My God.
Please. Man, I really didn't want to hate Alan Rickman in this at all.
Yeah.
He was doing good for so long. That's also a problem that I'm having with this review. I can't stick to exactly one story because there's just so many.
Problem. That's the problem with these kinds of stories is like you can't really dwell on one for too much because then it's like, especially with how little that stayed on each one for each time.
Yeah.
I mean, we could go through each story.
We could go through each story if we wanted to, yeah.
So, yeah, let's just do that.
Yeah, let's
just
start
do
with
that.
the top of the cast there.
Hugh Grant, the Prime Minister, kind of having a thing for his someone in his cabinet. I don't know what she does exactly.
Oh, he rummaged the cabinet.
Stop it. Consensually.
Very much,
that one was fine.
That was probably one of my runner-ups on the top.
I'd agree with that. That was the one that was like the most rom-com like that I liked.
The only thing I genuinely didn't like about I liked a few things. So I mean, Hugh Grant was great. The chick who plays Natalie, I have to find her.
Martine
McCutch. Anyway, I thought those two were great. They had great chemistry. I thought him trying to kind of win over England as far as like being the new prime minister and like showing that he's capable. I thought that was all cool and well done. The only thing I really just genuinely didn't like was the kind of body shaming the whole movie on Natalie. She wasn't even that big. Yeah, like they were calling her chubby. They were calling her pudgy and all that. Thick thighs. Yes, she did. In the best ways. But like
3 C's.
Yeah. And they just kept body shaming her the whole time.
And she's not even like chubby at all.
Yeah.
And I know that that's like a European American thing. Europeans, calm the fuck down.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
When it comes to that.
I don't know if it was exactly meant to be like mean, but like maybe they were just whipping around the thick with 2 C's the whole time.
I was glad that he was kind of like, he was always just like, is she really? Well, no, it wasn't. It was just, he would always question that.
He's
like, why are you talking? No, she's not. No, she's not.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my biggest, like, the Europeans have such a fucked up idea of what chubby is. And yes, I know it's because Americans, not as much as Europeans do.
Well, when
like,
our whole modeling phase, dear God, if you were 135 pounds.
Well, that's model. That's modeling. That's not like just people walking around. Like no one would have ever called Natalie chubby in the U.S., at least within the last 30 years. I don't know about like, the 8, but definitely not 2003. And I watch a lot of British television, and they just call like the most random, not chubby people chubby. And I'm just like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Like, yes, I know that Americans have problem with obesity and food, but like, can you stop calling not chubby people chubby? Like, fuck off. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
You wankers, jog on.
Jog on.
Yeah, sorry, I got that from Shaun of the Dead.
You're such a what's the word? Damn it, posh. You're so posh, man, with knowing your words.
No, but it really does, and it happens a lot in this. Is like they call just people who aren't chubby. I'm just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like what is it? What are you gathering from this? That's what I want to know. What is the benefit of calling people who are not 10% body fat or less chubby? Like.
No idea.
What's the point? What's the point? And that's more than just England. That's just anyone that ever calls someone who's not chubby. And yeah, just stop. Just stop commenting on people's weight in general.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Get help.
Yeah, get help. Michael Jordan.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going for.
But yeah, I thought it was the closest to like a standard romantic comedy plot line that I enjoyed. I liked the fact that he didn't know the house number, so he went like door to door, trying to find her. I thought that created a lot of humorous scenarios, and it wasn't like this grand gesture of like running to the airport like fucking Liam Neeson's kid does.
Especially the caroling part. Where the girls are like, "Are you a caroler?" And then he's like, "Oh, well, no, but I can if you want me to."
Yeah, and then his bodyguard just had like a beautiful voice.
And then Hugh Grant's just like he looks back and then he starts singing and he's like, "What the fuck?" He's just surprised by it. He's like, "Oh,
yeah."
I
but
like
then it
that
got a
whole
little
storyline.
cheesy at the kids play towards the end.
A little bit, yeah. I like that was probably the best connected story because they bumped into Emma Thompson's character by surprise, and of course, you know, they are brother and sister, and like she's just going through that shit. That connection meant the most for both her Emma Thompson's character and just the story overall. Other than that, most of the other kind of cameos into each other's lives didn't feel warranted at all. So I mean, other than the campiness of the play part, I really enjoyed him getting to that point and meeting up with Emma Thompson and all that. So that was like a nice little touch.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it was definitely one of the better ones. But I guess we should move on to Liam Neeson's next. So Liam Neeson, along with that kid. Hey, look, they're on the screen right now. So Liam Neeson's wife is dead. He's in the movie and in real life now. Sorry about that. And he's watching over his stepson, finds out his stepson is in love with a girl at school, and kind of uses that as a way to distract himself from grieving.
As we all do.
Yeah. We discussed this one a little bit already. It's a little weird.
Yeah. Mostly the conversations that they have.
Yeah, mostly conversations. What's happening itself isn't too bad.
Yeah.
The kid learning what the kid's doing is very natural for a early teenage kid to do. Like, she's into music, so let me learn how to play drums.
I'm going to try my hardest to impress this girl and do what I need to do.
Yeah. Also, no way that he learns drums that fast.
In
just
like,
saying.
what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fine. It's the girl who the kid's in love with.
Yeah.
She's no Whitney Houston.
Yeah, but she is a.
Oh no, sorry, Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey.
I was about to say she is kind of a Christina Aguilera though.
A little bit. Granted, she's also a child. She's a child, so like she's not a professional singing adult. So maybe I shouldn't be too hard on her.
You watch your mouth, man. She was amazing.
But I thought it was fine until it turned into the running to the airport.
That was the part that kind of roughed it a little bit.
Yeah. Although I did enjoy Mr. Bean coming back to help him out.
Yeah.
Although when did Mr. Bean, like, how did he know Mr. Bean? Did we ever know that he knew Mr. Bean?
He never knew Mr. Bean. It was
I knew Emma Thompson or Alan Rickman
ran into him.
Yeah.
And so he only had that scene and then the airport scene.
Yeah.
So I don't know. He just was kind of there. He's like, I'm gonna help this child, but in reality, I just forgot my shit. Yeah, I mean, the whole that plot was like I thought it had substance there. It got weird during conversations, but it was like a great bonding experience with father and son, stepson, whatever. And then the airport thing was kind of hokey, but the story, that was the one that I liked the most and felt like it had the most ground. That I would watch a longer version of that if needed.
Yeah, I could see that.
But like if they cut one of the other storylines and like progress that one, I would have liked that one the most.
Yeah.
For sure. But I mean,
moving on.
Yeah, we don't need to dwell on that one too much more.
Yeah. Moving on to Laura Linney and Rodrigo Santoro, I think it is. Yeah, Rodrigo Santoro.
This one, I feel like, and I wanted to ask you, did this ever get an ending? Like it didn't show an ending to the rest of it, like the rest of them did.
I don't think so.
Like it kind of just was like it was the most sad, obviously, but like it didn't.
Which is why I liked it the most. I like sad things,
and it just kind of ended. And I don't remember what exactly happened. Like she went to go see her brother, and then I don't think anything else. Or she was working, and got a call from her brother, and then nothing really happened from that. Like she just got sucked into her work life and just caring for her brother.
I do know that they showed him leaving while she was still working after the fact. Admittedly, I was kind of checked out at that time, so I don't remember anything significant happening after that, but I could be wrong. I love Laura Linney. I've always had a slight crush on Laura Linney.
Oh my god, she's amazing.
Yeah, she's great, and she's great in this too. Like the, the being torn between wanting love and
family matters
and family matters, and just the. The part that I loved the most was, and I don't know anyone that is that level of mentally ill. My grandfather was at some point, but that was before he got super medicated. And I wasn't alive when that happened either. But I know for a fact that when you hang around with someone that is like that, you just know when they're going to lash out at you like she does, where she blocks him trying to hit her and everything. So it felt very real in that moment, and how even though he tried to do that, she had no malice towards him at all. And just knew that it was just unfortunately part of who he was. As I don't want to sit here and diagnose what he had
become, or something.
Who he had become with his mental illness. So that's this kind of story I generally lean to more often. Was that
kind of more the more relatable aspect. But a thing that I didn't really enjoy about her story, obviously she was great, but there was connections to characters that even more than the love interest, there was just connections there that just. It didn't feel like why is she moving that way? She getting all giddy behind a corner. I'm like, that's weird.
That's my problem with rom-coms in general.
Yeah,
and it happened a lot in this, where everyone kind of becomes a high schooler.
Yeah,
where
no matter the age,
not a single mature person in this entire movie, with the exception of maybe Emma Thompson.
Yeah,
and Hugh Grant is relatively.
She's around kids.
Yeah. Hugh Grant is also relatively mature in this. The story is kind of unprofessional for a prime minister.
Yeah.
But he handles it as maturely as one could.
Yeah.
And then Emma Thompson is super mature. But yeah, going back to Laura Linney, that was a little bit weird. I think it kind of showed how stuck in her past she was.
Yeah.
Which was kind of foreshadowing maybe. It made sense for her more than anyone else, but everyone else was kind of like that too. So
yeah, it was just weird to me that she was a real character, and then she was kind of surrounded by people who were obviously made for a rom-com as far as characters go. And Alan Rickman, how long have you been in love with him?
First of all, HR department. HR department. Call them. Call your HR department.
I don't even remember who she was in love with. I can't even find their name.
Rodrigo Santoro. He played Xerxes in 300.
I'm trying to find his ass. I mean,
he's also in a movie with Jim Carrey called "I Love You, Philip Morris."
Yeah, they didn't really have a connection at all. I personally
think that was purely sexual.
Yeah.
Maybe there was a little bit more on his end and her end a little bit, but I think at first it was purely a sexual, physical connection.
Yeah, even even in the workplace, I didn't even feel a connection with friendships or anything with her and the assistant, or her and Alan Rickman, the boss. I don't know. They're just her and her brother was the best aspect of it, and
I agree.
Then there was just. I feel like there wasn't an ending unless I blinked and missed it. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it is possible that it was just in the airport scene real quick.
Or maybe it's just a really depressing one, and it just ended her taking care of her brother, and then that was it.
speaking of how none of them have really any connection with any of the other characters, let's talk about Bill Nighy and Gregor Fisher, Billy Mack, and Joe, his manager Joe.
Yep.
This was probably my favorite ending to all of the stories.
Yes.
Because the entire time it's just like Billy Mack, played by Bill Nighy, being like this aging rock star who seems very ungrateful for the position he's in, and just shitting all over his manager Joe and everything. And mainly just for laughs. Like you know, he never really means what he's saying, but you can also see throughout that it's getting on Joe's nerves. And then at the end, he gets everything he wants. He gets to party with Elton John, and he goes back and expresses his platonic love for Joe. And it's just great. It's a bromance. Yeah, I loved it. I loved it.
The ending made up for the whole thing, because I feel like his storyline was one you could have cut. Love Bill Nighy, but that wasn't.
I mean, if I'm honest, you could cut all of them, and the movie would be better.
Well, 100%. That was
because it wouldn't exist.
There's like at least two where you could definitely cut it, and I would have been more than okay with it. Like, sadly, even like the Martin Freeman storyline, like it was good, but like there wasn't really anything.
We'll talk about that later, though. Yeah. We're talking about Bill Nighy and Gregor.
I'm kind of saying there's a couple storylines that you could have cut, and I would have been okay, and it probably would have
Colin as well, the guy who wanted to go to America.
Yes, that one too. But like if they cut those and made a couple of those other storylines longer, would have been totally awesome. Right. But I mean his was okay, and then the ending made up for it when you know the two. He was like, "Well, I got everything I want for Christmas."
I really didn't like it at first, other than Bill Nighy just being the international treasure that he is.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Bill Nighy's cool, but like this story's not really doing it. And then the ending happened. I was just like,
well, there it is. There's the punch.
There
Thanks.
Yeah. But there's not too much else to say about that one.
Yep.
So let's get on to Colin Firth.
One of the most boring, I must say.
Yes, this felt the most British.
Yeah.
Out of all of them.
With like a lake house type vibe with is that what it was called, like Keanu and Sandra? It's like one of those type where like the isolation romance movies. That's the story.
What's the Portuguese woman's name? I forget. Ariella.
Yes.
Yeah. So Colin Firth and Lucia Moniz. Probably butchered that pronunciation. The thing that I did like about it was the language barrier. How like they were just shit talking, or she was shit talking him the whole time, and he kind of just liked it.
Yeah,
he probably knew she was shit talking him, but like didn't know exactly what about. But I thought that was as charming. But yeah, you're right. It was like the most boring one.
Well, it was just it was just the most textbook, I guess you could say, as they go.
Yeah.
Until the ending, which I'm sure you were about to say.
Yeah, until the ending when all the Portuguese people think that he's going to kill or
buy her,
kill the woman or buy her, and everything is just. I thought it was really funny.
That whole sequence was funny. I think that was great, but I think the best thing about that whole thing is that they learned each other's languages, and then obviously they didn't learn it perfectly, which is great. Very well done.
It would have been so stupid if they were both
way
fluent.
too hokey. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad they had like the broken English and then broken Portuguese.
And the broken Portuguese, yeah.
Because that made for that moment to be better. And you got to chuckle out of it. You got to. He said something really stupid.
Yeah.
But again, very textbook. But that ending made it for a nice one.
It did. Then we're going to Emma Thompson and Alan Rickman, the most heartbreaking of them all.
Honestly, yeah.
I mean, heartbreaking a different way from Laura Linney's heartbreaking.
Yes.
With Emma Thompson, of course, being like, I don't want to say a perfect wife, but like a wife that anyone would be lucky to have, and Alan Rickman just completely taking her for granted and trying to have an affair with his
assistant.
I'm probably sure it was successful too, trying to affair with his assistant.
Well, I think they kind of glossed over it a bit, but they kind of were like, yeah, he didn't. But definitely the most heartbreaking. This is like the most family oriented one where they're like the dad is just working, and then like I guess kind of gets bored of the home life, and then something kind of spices up at work, and by something I mean the lady's kind of hitting on him, and he's like, "Ooh, something
she needs
new."
to calm down. This is
did.
why we have HR departments.
I could smell the pheromones from here. I was like, ugh,
for real,
stop.
For real.
But yeah, he did the textbook classic man thing where he's like, "Oh, my life seems kind of boring," even though he kind of had his life right there in front of him, and it was pretty much damn near perfect. And he just fucked it up for some chick who wanted to slob on the knob. They say knob in Britland. I've heard it.
They do, yeah.
So yeah, that one was the most tragic to me, especially for Emma Thompson.
Yeah, and her character was so likable too.
Yeah.
Like she did the snooping thing where, she's like, "Ooh, excited for Christmas. What's he getting me?" And then she gets excited about the present she sees, but it's not for her.
Huge smile.
And
everything.
When she goes to puts the I think it's Joni Mitchell CD that he ends up getting her.
I think so, yeah.
Puts that on in the room so she can just cry for a little bit and then comes out.
I don't think it actually did it actually play? Because it kind of continued into
the music played.
Yeah,
I don't know if she was playing it, but it was.
I couldn't tell if she turned on the music or if they just played it and she was just crying silently in the other room.
Yeah, I
don't know. It looked. But I think I remember a scene where it looked like the CD was open, but they never showed her actually putting in the CD. So I don't know.
But she has one of the most heartbreaking lines towards. When she kind of confronts him about it, where she's like, "I know about the gold necklace," and she says something to the effect of, "Is this, just a necklace and sex, or is it worse, a necklace and love?"
Yeah.
And then she asks him what he would do in her situation, and then just kind of leaves it at that. And I think that's all the conversation you need to have for this particular story. Anything more would be egregious and kind of over explaining it. I thought it was.
I really wanted to like Alan Rickman in this, but from the first scene he was in with kind of with Laura Linney, I was like, he comes off as very weird in this movie, and I don't enjoy it. And then the whole,
they need an HR department. I'm telling you.
And then the whole secretary thing happened, and I'm like, man, out of all the actors in this, I had to dislike Alan Rickman the most. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. But yeah, most genuinely heartbreaking as far as a household, family, and everything types goes. That's for sure.
Legitimately an interesting story too. It's.
The chemistry was there. They were both a solid family home and everything like that. And Emma Thompson
maybe a
was
little
so good.
dull because they've been married together for so long.
Yeah, that's also what they were trying to convey too. So
moving on to Colin Frissell, the caterer, who is just kind of creepy and wants to go to America just to get laid. Rightfully assumes that a British person would have an easier time getting laid in America than he would in England.
They would.
Especially Milwaukee.
Yeah.
When he went to Milwaukee, I was like...
did he go to Milwaukee or Wisconsin?
Milwaukee.
Because he was trying to go to Wisconsin in the beginning, I believe.
Milwaukee's in Wisconsin.
What? I don't know my own country.
Yeah. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Had he gone to New York or one of the bigger cities, his British accent would have meant nothing. So the fact that he went to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, was the perfect thing.
And he happened to hit the perfect bar too. That had
the perfect bar, the perfect night,
the hottest
with
chicks.
Three or was it 3 or 4?
It was 3, really? And then the fourth one was.
There was a fourth. Very lonely.
Yep.
Poor college girls or whatever they are.
Yep.
But yeah, it was until that point, he was just kind of creepy. I mean, he was creepy then too. But
this had no business being in this movie, except for the ending laugh of him, he actually did get laid by all these people, which January Jones, Alicia Cuthbert, and Ivana Milkevic. She was in that show with, oh my God, Anthony Starr, I believe. That I can't remember, that Amish one. I cannot remember that.
Banshees?
Yes, Banshee. She was in that. 3 of the hottest women. He got all of them. Congratulations on that guy.
At the same time.
And whoever that fourth one was, I'm sure she was a... Woo! Sure she was a stud.
Well, she's the one that comes at the end.
Oh, was she?
That comes to the... comes at the end.
I just assumed he picked up another chick.
No, what was her name?
I do not remember. But she had a thick accent.
Harriet, played by Shannon Elizabeth.
Oh, real quick, because
who is American Pie Nadia in American Pie.
Real quick, because I kind of just passed this chick. Going back to Jesus, Glen, Liam Neeson. I didn't like that he kind of just ran into some chick and just fell in love. Kind of. He did not necessarily fell in love, but kind of just got like starstruck. I don't know. I didn't really enjoy that part. He kind of just ran into this other mom. Well, not that he's a mom, but ran into a mom at that play and was just like, oh, thick Irish accent. Yeah. So,
yes. Top of the morning.
Going back to that. But yeah, I didn't care for the Colin storyline at a single fuck of the matter. That was one that could have gotten cut. Horde.
Except for I laughed when he landed in Milwaukee.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Just because it's the perfect place for a British person to go to get laid.
Yep.
Probably. I don't know. I haven't been to Milwaukee. I've only flown through it.
Yep.
But moving on to, we talked about him a little bit, Martin Freeman and Joanna Page, the stand-ins for the movie that is not explained at all, but there's a lot of sex in it.
And that's like one thing about this movie. It doesn't shy away from the nudity, really. Really gives it to you a lot.
And it's usually comedic when it happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, again, this has no point being in this movie.
But this is the one.
But it's funny.
Yeah, this is
funny.
the one where it gets a pass because it was good and funny. It was quick. Like the storyline was there. They had chemistry and it was good.
Yeah, and the utmost professionals.
I have a mustache tickling the fuck out of my nose right now, and it's terrible.
There you go. And then finally, we have the big one, the most famous one for the Andrew Lincoln scene with the cards and Keira Knightley and Chiwetel Ejiofor. Meh.
Very meh. Very meh. The best part about it is him having a breakdown in the courtyard outside of his apartment.
Yeah. Like, it's just...
Because at that same time... I was just imagining that the Walking Dead scene where he's like Carl just fucking offs his mother and Rick's just like no fucking walking.
I like
around.
Andrew Lincoln, but he does go a bit over the top when he acts.
Yeah, that whole storyline. I mean, for the most part, it was okay.
Yeah,
but there just wasn't anything there. Yeah, really.
It does have obviously the most famous scene of the entire movie, which is creepy in a way. But also, like, if he's going to do that, at least that's as far as he took it. He never tried to push it after that.
And I hate that he was connected. Like, the connections just kind of pissed me off in this movie, how people were connected. Yeah. He was connected to the secretary. Just were friends with,
and they were also just friends with Colin Firth.
Yeah, that too, yeah. Just randomly. Never talked about him before.
Overall, this movie is just very cringy to me.
Yeah.
It has its shining moments. They're few and far between, in my opinion. And I don't know. I know people like their romance movies, but this really was one of the movies that has me wondering what is wrong with people.
I wish
that they like it this much.
I will say this. I wish, if I could change one thing about the whole thing, is that I wish Rowan Atkinson was the connection between each of the friendships.
That would have been a nice plus. Mr. Bean.
Like, he's the one that connected everybody.
What if this was just a Mr. Bean movie?
Besides the Emma Thompson and Hugh Grant, I thought was the best connection as far as it went. Like, that's how they connected stories. But if he was the connection between each story, I think that would have been honestly better.
Yeah.
Or like a background. He was something in the background or anything.
Yeah. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
I know I'm in the minority when I say I did not like it. I'm honestly baffled that people like it. Romance is one of those genres where I will never understand why people like it so much. Like, why do people care about other people's love lives as much as they do to deal with something so cringy? But I also just kind of cringe at grand gestures of romance in general. I'm glad Caitlin doesn't like them because I would hate myself if I had to do them ever.
Perfect.
And anytime I see pictures of promposals. I just want to punch those kids in the face.
Yucky. I did one.
Because it's why, Glen? I'm gonna have to punch you in the face when I see you
It's
next.
all right. I love it.
Okay. Okay. But I don't have anything else to say really about this. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Very uninterested in this movie, and I will never watch it again. I say that with 100% confidence. I will leave the room if someone else is watching it.
Just throw the computer. I'm staring at 2 monitors right now. Trust me, I'm sorry. Just chuck that fucking TV out of the finger. Sorry, kids.
Yeah.
There is a lot of nudity. Your kids shouldn't be watching this anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to blur a lot of it when I edit this.
Oh yeah. I'm ready to move on if you are.
Yeah. So that does it for our review of Love Actually. That brings us to the judgment. As always, it needs to be a unanimous decision. Without goes the KFR show with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. This was streaming roulette. So coin
Tails.
flip generator. You're picking tails? Okay. And it is heads. I'll go.
I don't think
no.
I've ever gone a single one yet.
You have. You
have.
have.
I? That's crazy.
One of the first ones I did. It was heads, so I'm going to say no. It doesn't. It's just too cringy.
Yeah.
While I don't like romance movies, there are some romance movies that I like. I think It's a Wonderful Life. The romance in that is actually really good.
Yep.
It's real. It's not, grandiose and cringy. It's
fabricated or anything like that.
Yeah, it just feels real. Whereas, none of, well, I don't want to say none of the Emma Thompson, Alan Rickman storyline feels real.
Yeah.
The Laura Linney storyline feels real.
And then with some boundaries, the Liam. Why am I?
Yeah,
Liam
Neeson and the kid.
I almost said Liam Thompson.
But yeah, it's just cringy. They don't explain enough. Like, other than Keira Knightley's attractive, you don't understand why Andrew Lincoln's in love with her.
Yep.
That, she's attractive. True, yeah, she's attractive, but why? Why is he this obsessed with her to the point where he took a camera?
Yeah, they don't really give a lot of personality to her besides teeth.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's got
that is a
on
lot
her
of
own.
her personality.
Yeah, I mean, she was my childhood crush, so I can't
Her
speak.
and Pirates.
ill
Oh
of-
my god.
Pirates of the Caribbean had that poster on my wall. Whoo, lordy. But yeah, no, it doesn't go on the shelf.
So I would also say no. I didn't mind it nearly as much as you didn't mind it or minded it. But I mean, there's I don't see why this is. I guess there's better Christmas romance movies out there, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know why this one's on top. Maybe just because there's so many storylines and big heads in this that is what conveys people to watch it. Or I don't know. But this is no for me too. But I mean, I didn't hate watching it. I'll say that.
So, I hated watching it. Well, I hated watching 75% of it.
Yes.
The other 25% I liked. So Love Actually does not make it on the KFR shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. That brings us to the end of the 2023 KFR podcast season. We're going to be taking time off.
Yes.
About a month. So our next episode will be released on January 15th. And of course, as always, it's a new cycle, so it is my turn to pick.
It is.
This year, I had a list of movies and had Glenn pick a random number. I'm going to get back to that.
Yep.
But there is a movie that I kept mentioning this year that was never picked.
Yeah, it was
just
somewhere
from the
in there.
randomness.
Yeah, kept ending up in the 20s or something.
Yes, exactly. So for the start of 2024, am going to pick this movie.
I'm tired of you fucking not picking my number, dude.
Exactly. So this is a movie from 1994 that was critically panned and by both fans and critics alike. Everyone who hates it is fucking wrong. I do not care. 1994, hour and a half, Clifford, starring Martin Short.
Clifford is a very special little boy.
Would you please stop hitting the back of my chair? I am trying to sleep.
I'm sorry, Miss Nice Older Person, but I don't know what you're talking about. Perhaps you were just having a nightmare about your early days in the circus.
Hi, what's your name, son?
My name is Clifford, and I think you're the bestest captain in the whole wide world.
Well, thank you.
Martin Short in his smallest role ever. Charles Grodin in his most trying performance.
I underestimated the evil one.
What is it with you in Dinosaur World? It's a sick thing!
And Mary Steenburgen.
Can you just act like a human boy for 1 minute here? Look at me like a person. You can't do it for more than a few seconds. Look at me like a human boy.
Hello? Whose house is this?
It's the kid who's throwing the party. I think his name is Clifford. You want me to get him?
I'll get him later.
Well, there it is, Clifford. Dinosaur World.
How many years do you think you'll get for kidnapping me, Uncle 10 Most Wanted?
That is so cute. I really shouldn't put this in hyperdrive, but I just can't seem to help myself.
Clifford, terror has a new name, and comedy has a new face.
Oh, honey, be careful while you eat your cereal. Use a napkin. This boy and his cereal.
A bratty 10-year-old boy is obsessed with visiting a dinosaur-themed amusement park. His uptight uncle takes the Wily Tyke in for a week and barely lives to regret it. Martin Short is playing a 10-year-old kid. Comedy genius.
There's one
Comedy
scene
genius.
a lot lately that has been circulating.
Which
and
one's
I can't
that?
wait. Where he's like smiling. He's like smile like a normal person, and he's just
yes, my favorite fucking scene. I'm telling you, anyone who dislikes this movie should not be allowed to vote. They have no culture.
Yeah.
They have no knowledge. They have no sense.
Can't wait to
of course,
actually get to that scene. So that'll be something.
Directed by Paul Flaherty, written by William Porter. I'm just thinking about that scene right now. Stephen Campman, starring Martin Short, Charles Grodin, Mary Steenburgen, Dabney Coleman, Richard Kind is in there, Jennifer Savage, Ben Savage, spelled differently, so they're not related. And that is it as far as people that I recognize. This is going to be on Freevee, Pluto, Roku, Tubi, and then you can also rent it on Amazon if you want. If you want my opinion, it is worth the $4 to rent. So if by some chance you hate commercials and don't want to watch it on one of those free platforms, you're insane. Just watch it with the ads.
Do it, people. Do it.
It's worth the $4. And we're going to watch this, and on January 15th, you'll either find out that I realized I was talking out of my ass from nostalgia, or that it stands up and anyone who doesn't like it should not be allowed to vote.
Seriously stood the test of time.
Yes. So Clifford on Freevee, Pluto, and Roku and Tubi, renting on Amazon. That is our assignment for next week. Thank you, everyone, for another great year and watching and listening and all that. You can check out our website, as always, at www.keystonefilmreview.com. On Instagram, we're Keystone_film_review. On Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube, Keystone Film Review. And on Letterboxd, I'm Mike, KFR.
And I'm Glen, KFR.
And that will do it until next year, when we watch Martin Short.
Yes. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to everyone.
Yes. Whatever holiday you celebrate, I hope it is a great one. And we will see you in the new year. Goodbye, everybody.
Smooches.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animals.